keynote speaker, which is Mr. Sher, and he's the Vice President of Industrial Technology Research Institute. And he will share with us his knowledge about commercialization and new venture. Let me briefly introduce Mr. Sher. He earned his education at National Central University with a bachelor in science in mechanical engineering and then major in production engineering in 1981. As for professional experience, Mr. Sher had worked in professional and managerial positions in many important companies. Currently, he is the chairman in Infolink System Integration Corporation since 2011. Before, he was a general manager in the Global Enterprise Business Unit, HTC, from 2002 to 2008. Country manager in Converse, Taiwan, from 2001 to 2002. The general manager in Nokia Taiwan System Infrastructure, Nokia Taiwan from 1999 to 2001. Country manager in Silicon Graphics Corporation from 1997 to 1999. Vice President in Taiwan branch, Lotus Development European Corporation. Great China brand manager and purchasing engineer in Yuelong Motor Company. Please welcome Mr. Sher. Thank you for coming. I hope it's working.
Good afternoon. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Johnson. I'm working for industry for almost 25 years in different areas. And especially I'm also from IBM. So I'm working for IBM for around 10 years and afterwards. So most of them are foreign companies. And then afterward I joined HTC and with all the leaders now on the top to create the HTC. And afterward, it's not retired, in fact. In fact, I've been asking from the government to help to see how I can using the industrial experience to leveraging the technology to helping to restructure the next Taiwan. So I've been joining ITRI for around 4 years, 4 to 5 years, I think. Now I'm almost the most senior guys in the headquarters of ITRI now, since the government is changing very frequently then. But I'm still there. But I can tell you this is quite a good story to tell in this afternoon. The reason why is, I know this is quite a good atmosphere. So if you are a little bit tired, you want to take a nap, that's okay. I just apologize. Okay. But I can tell you, it is really very, very different. I've been taking lots of different kind of educations from Harvard business schools and so on. We talk about marketing, we talk about business development, market strategy, industrial strategy, and so on. But this is the first time when I joined ITRI, and the first day I joined ITRI, even some of them, they are my schoolmates. And you know the nickname they call me is an alien. It's very, very different mentality between the people who wants to promoting technology rather than to creating technology. They call me, I'm very stubborn, but I think they are much more stubborn than I did, you know. But, however, after 5 years, I can tell you, the process after the 5 years from commercialization process and integration, now every professors or even every PhDs, they know when they're launching a program, they need to have a business plan embedded into their project first. They know what is market intelligence means. They know how to evaluate their proper assets, no matter from intellectual property, technology transfer, or become a venture toward. Now ITRI is around to give a birth, not only TSMC. TSMC is quite a good example for ITRI, because ITRI born TSMC and UMC and so on. ITRI, in fact, born around 250 companies along the way in the last 50 years, in the last 40 years. And now we are keep on actually give birth to the new venture, around 10 to 15 companies each year. It's very, very different with the research institute and also with the university. is because of our mission is very, very different. So later on, I'll try to give you some of my very painful experience the last 4 to 5 years, and maybe give you some of my personal experience, how this kind of commercialization, instead of what we call marketing, what the difference in between this kind of two words. But very openly, you can tell, this last 5 years, maybe why I say it's painful, because normally when you're in a company like Lotus or HTC, it's very clean that you are selling a product which have, the fixed value, which have a very concrete marketing activity and strategy you can conform. And also you can have, predictable cost. And also market, you can penetrate it. But when you talk about something is technology, we call technology itself, it's very virtual. It's not physical, it's virtual. They don't have a physical mind or physical shapes. And also, from different time, you can see the value of the technology is changing. Some of the technology born from the first beginning is useless, I can tell you. But some of the technology, you have to prolong them. So let them last to the last mile, so they can generate even the most impact toward the commercialization. So it's kind of very, very, high-level judgment, and to make a decision and so on. So but how this process go on? Let me give you some of my description. So next chart. But however, I want to repeat, to a very gentleman, his word. One is Morris Chang, the CEO of TSMC. He said, no matter how great the technology it is, if the technology cannot contribute to the economy, then actually it cannot demonstrate the glory and also the generous of the technology itself. I believe so. So ITRI is that kind of animal to actually create a space shuttle. Only can take 10 people to the sky. ITRI is not this kind of organization. But ITRI wants to put the technology to the market, which can let the economy moving forward, which actually get beneficial to maybe 10 or hundreds of enterprises. The second, but question is, to bearing with the technology, go along the way toward to the commercialization, there's a lot of risk building in behind. So Curtis is the chairman of the SRI, United States. He said, from the new category, they're doing almost the same kind of stuff, United States. He said, from a new category of development, only one new product out of 20 products can last for 1 year. And 500 new ventures in Silicon Valley per year, but only 15 of them come to 97% of the returns. Only 15 companies generate 70% of returns. So that means the failure rate is almost around 70% around. Okay. Next chart. Next chart. This is out of area, I think. Next chart. So, from ITRI perspective, the first day I tell my group and all my staff, sorry, you are right.
It's not working? Yeah, it is.
Yes. This is on and off. But however, this is maybe the time lock, tell me where to stop. As a trendsetter, as I said, I always encourage myself, ITRI have to become a trendsetter to bearing the risk, to lead the way of the industrial transformation. Also to leverage our technology strengths to stretch the new frontier, which beyond the industrial visionary scope. I think the second one is very, very important, especially when you communicate with the enterprises, talk about the technology itself. All the enterprises are so practical. They want is a turnkey solution. They don't want technology. So between the technology implementation and the turnkey solutions, there's a whole bunch of gaps, depends on the depths of the technology. Normally 3 to 5 years is generous. But 3 to 5 years means how much money you should invest prior to the industry wants to invest. That is critical, okay? Also, I think how we can bring up the momentum for the entrepreneurship. In fact, the Honorable Principal Chang talked about the entrepreneurship. And also there's people asking about how to create a passion. Some people say passion is born from nature, but I can tell you, maybe it's right or wrong. When you fall in love, if you see actually your lover's, his eye, actually her or her eyes, you know, blinking with lights or fire, that is passion. But when you talk about the business, how you determine this guy, even he had a fire in his eye, but when he goes out 1 year, he knocked the wall and died there, you know. So this is very, very dependable passion and also the bravery, you know, without consciousness. Okay, so we need to also build up a system to encourage what we call consciousness bravery, rather than it's only a passion. Okay, next chart. So this is ITRI. We have around 6,000 people. Around 25% of all the people are PhDs. And we generate around 18,000 patents, now ranking 47 in the United States only. And we have a startup and spin-offs around 225 companies. Now around 43% now is IPO in Taiwan stock market or the United States. We conduct industrial services around 15,000 contracts per year. And we transfer 620 technology per year also. Next chart. And this is our category of the principles we have, the discipline we have. We have informatics, we have energy, environments, we have electronics, bio, chemical, and also advanced manufacturing. Next chart. In fact, 2 years ago, Obama government, they tried to review themselves to see why United States losing their power of the next generation. They are losing their job, they're losing their manufacturing capabilities. They're also losing the advanced manufacturing capabilities. But now they benchmark two organizations in the world. One is Fraunhofer in Europe, another one is ITRI. They think these two organizations fulfill the gap between the high-end research toward to the industry. And normally we call this kind of area is we call valley of death. They say these two organizations done something to fulfill the gap. It's a painful experience, but it's a worthwhile experience for the United States. So US actually committed to put $30 billion to create 15 organizations in the United States, copy these two. They want to copy us, copy these two organizations and build 15 this type of organization in the United States to recap their advanced manufacturing policy. In fact, they built up the first one in last August. The first one, group up with 15 universities together and some of the industry all together as the first one, and spending around 300 to 400 million US first. Next chart. But is it very simple to copy? I can tell you, it's not simple to copy. China have a 47 ITRI. I don't know if you know or not, but when Taiwan have ITRI, China also have 47 ITRI in different states. Now, every year they're visiting us and try to understand what we are doing, and we teach them something. But next year we found, the things we shown in their catalog. But question is, they don't know what to do. Then they come back, try to see what is the secret or mystery inside. In fact, this is the first presentation I made in public. I never made this presentation because I think something related to trade secret, but however, I think this is worthwhile since we are very good partnership between Indonesia and us. I think first, there's a lot of things, it's very hard to learn. First, is you have to be very close with the industry. So in the last 30 years, we learned how to deal with industry. This is very important. Normally, university or research institute, they are not that much familiar with what industry wants. They are so far away from the industry. Second, cross-disciplinary. It is very, very hard, even inside of the university, to, why I say cross-disciplinary, normally you are talking about some technology cross-disciplinary. Now I'm talking about the cross-disciplinary is not only technology itself, but also business management, finance management, and also some maybe human management and so on. You can put lots of different signs of the future. together as a group to trigger this kind of we call passion. You can see why actually in the United States, Silicon Valley, there are lots of new successful companies that can born in 1 year. You can see the combination of the original board. Lots of them are from the same university, or they are relatives, but actually they learn different stuff. So people caring about finance, human resources, some of them is marketing, some of them are technology together. But inside, we always, just like Stanford, if you go to Stanford, they are so proud of their cross-disciplinary, but only in technology. But those technology cannot out of the box, right? So why we can't actually do something inside of the university to make different disciplinary, put it all together, even include marketing and business together. And also we have end-to-end, this is the strongest point. Even you see we have 6,000 people, I can tell you, we also have 800 people, which their major is not actually the engineering. Even I'm from engineering, but my major is business. We have 800 people which are EMBAs, are business. And 40% of them, they comes from industry. Also, they recap their experience from the industry and coming back, try to prove something they can break through. So it's a very different kind of combination together. And also, another very critical point is how you can build up an organization which can tie closely up with a government policy. Because government giving the environment and resources sometimes, and how you can combine the policy and resources and transformation toward to the industrial impact. So you must have, but normally the research is just like you giving the different money to different university. But ITRI is tied up with the government policy, especially the industry strategy, very, very closely together. So we knew how we can drive in the same pace forward. Okay, next chart. This is one chart. 4 to 5 years ago, I learned it from one of the professor, Eugene Wang. He talked about this kind of cross-disciplinary kind of principle. I really admire, his willingness to break through. He said we should build this kind of business plan or pro forma business plan inside of every project which university or research labs build up. And we can optimize the pro forma business plan, but we must have the marketing sense inside of the whole things. Okay, next chart. And this is also from SRI. I knew even most of the research institute, I don't know how many institute you are representing, but most of the Taiwan, even now, the research institute or education, when they talk about the technology transfer, the simple, even in the United States, the most simple, easiest way is to build up what we call technology transfer center or technology transfer office. Let those guys, to become the bad guys. To carry forward all the guilds, no matter the research is good or bad, they have to sell them through, right? But most of the chance, it's not that easy. Even, some of our university till now, they still have, maybe 5,000 researchers that don't have, they only have 5, what do you call, technology transfer officers here. They have to, contribute part of the business. But I can tell you, it's rather difficult. Because we found there's not only we say technology transfer or intellectual property transfer is a way of we creating this kind of industrial impact. Rather than, next chart. Rather than, next chart please. Rather than you have to create the value along the way to see what kind of value you can accommodate toward to a research or idea. The fundamental research is really generating values from application rather than research results only. So how you define the market, how you define the application, how you can do the foresight of what it can be. This is very important because you can't do actually what industry have already done. This is compete with them. But you have to think beyond 3 to 5 years of them. And then how you can do this kind of very intensive value creation from here. Next chart. So this is some of the ideas SRI define themselves, say I need to do this kind of a value creation or value generation throughout the line for the, we call the technology transfer, but they still call technology transfer. SRI is a research institute, a quite famous research institute. They generate around 1 or 2 bio-related company every year. This is their achievement. We quite admire them because 10 years ago, we are thinking of the same thing. 10 years ago, we also only have one office called Technology Transfer Office. But now, we have 6 or 7 departments along the way, including the industrial services, business development, market intelligence, and also the venture office, venturization office, incubation center, open lab, and along the way to create this kind of a whole series of the value creation activities toward our labs. Next chart. So this is our system. Our system, we have different functions. I try to tie up all of them together, but this is not a process. This is evolving every day. So I don't want you to copy of this because you can have your optimized way to accommodate your own cultures. Next chart. But I would rather to give you a next chart, please. I want to also next chart, but I want to give you some of my experience that what can serve for ITRI. First, currently we are asking all the projects. It must be starting from the business model-oriented commercialization strategy in order to maximize the possible of success in industrial impact. Second thing is, we change the inconsistency and disorder from hangover process to synchronization process. I'll explain why. And also try to build up what we call the coupling relationship between research and marketing department throughout the consensus for resources allocated. Next chart. This is the process we currently have. The first one, we define ourselves clearly. We don't treat, we think the technology transfer, intellectual property transfer, the industrial services, spin-off, spin-in, they are all different kind of, they are all the possible strategy to make the commercialization. You can choose anyone, depends on the impact and the way of the strategy. Some of the, just like some of the technology, if it's really hard for ITRI to bear in with mass production and capitalization, maybe we will do the intellectual property transfer rather than to build up our own company. But some of them, if we think this can be a home run, and then we're asking our government or ourselves, ITRI in fact is quite rich also, we were asking our venture office to really put the resources in to make this kind of efforts for pilot production, mass production, and pilot mass production, maybe for 3 years to 5 years, and then let them go. So it highly depends on what the strategy we are talking about. But how this kind of strategy start? This depends on the two. Lots of the research institute, they are using hangover process. Means the researcher doing their part. After they're doing the research, they say, I finished my job, I finished my project, so let's start a commercialization project. So I give this gift to you, and you charter the monkey, and you have to let the monkey fly. But question is, it's hard to let the monkey fly. It's just like the Taiwan taxi driver, you know. There are 2 shifts. You are driving the same car of taxi in the morning and during the night, but you are driving totally different directions. So the whole strategy from the start of innovation and the end of the commercialization, we are talking about different stories, really. So how you can make an inconsistent strategy to become more innovation, to become realized throughout the handover process, it's impossible to carry forward. But the question is, these are 2 kinds of animals, right? They are actually a kind of what we call building high, very royal kind of animals here. This is another kind of what we call living the market, living jungle animals. So how you mix up these 2 kinds of people, let them saying that we have the same strategy. This is another work of art. Maybe you can learn yourself and try to see how you can break through the, the defense in between, or fence in between. So that's why people call me alien, in the first day. But you have to justify them, okay? Using the resources to justify them. So we create this kind of a consensus meeting rather than instruction meeting or review meeting. This is consensus meeting. The consensus meeting is trying to let ourselves have the same language and same perspective for the same thing. So we're aiming the same objective, aiming the same goal, and same application, putting the right resources in and right human resources in also. So this is the things we've done. So next chart. So this is how we evaluate the consensus and strategy. We're using 4 different indexes. We're using the, but first, if you say they are the jungle in the city, they are the animal in the city, we are the animal in the jungle. If you want to talk, the first one you have to set up the language we can talk, right? So this is a language we can talk. We're using, we call technology readiness, manpower readiness, venture readiness, and we call team readiness. Using this kind of different, this called market readiness, sorry. We're using this kind of 4 different angles to evaluate and also to chat where we are, what we are, and where we want to go. Okay, so next chart. So this is a detail of those definitions. And this has been listed down to every engineer and every marketing people. We talk the same. So once we group together, they have financial officer, marketing officer, technology officer, and researchers all together. Technology officer will say, this is a great technology. I need to do this kind of budget to fulfill the next round. But the commercial guys may say, sorry, let's hold it here, because I think this is a waste of your time. Or the marketing officer will say, the market is already started. Why bother you actually to do this kind of research? We can buy the result rather than to do the research ourselves. Or they will say, you don't need to do that much, extremely good. You can do it now because they already have a commercial value. So let's start now. So there are lots of different languages together. And also the team itself, you're asking about the passion. We evaluate people's passion, okay? So we evaluate those guys are bravery or not, or they have a willingness or not. So you can see from next chart, next one. So normally we found in the research institute, the chart were like this. The market is ready there, and the venture is willing to invest. And the technology is almost near perfect, but it's not perfect yet. But with a little bit push, can reach. But question is, the team have totally no intention to go. So what you should do? So this is kind of a simulation for all kinds of situations in different dimensions. What you should do? What is your action? What is the next resource that you can invest in? And then, so this is just a very simple. Such as like this kind of situation, we have a program called residence program. So means our guys don't need to really join the company. We give you 2 years off. You still maintain your position, but I give you 2 years off as a CTO. We hire the CEO outside from the industry to make the combination of an office and use the virtual office to run 6 months virtual operation. We spend our own seats money to really run them, in a virtual operation, and let the team up. And if this guy can survive 2 years outside, if failed, he can come back. If not failed, because I can tell you, if not failed, he will never come back. Because he found the stock market, actually the stock they got is much more really valuable than what ITRI offered. So we're using a lot of different mentality, try to encouraging people, saying that this is a way you should go. This is just one matter. Another is kind of tailored back. Because you have to always create different kind of situation for where is the talent as a CMO, where's the talent as a CTO, where's the talent of the CEO. We have a group of the CEO, CTO inside of ITRI, but they cannot go out. But we try to imaging and copy those characteristics, try to replicate in the industry. So we join some works together with EMBA programs. We also join some of the research, this kind of headhunting process throughout the industry. So we have a pool of the talents there. Okay, next chart. Next chart, please. This is next chart? Okay. So this is a lot of different situation. Maybe if you want, I can give you the copy and you can study yourself. Next one. So we're using the, we call exploration, we call proof of concept, proof of services, and proof of business to really exercise the whole things. Next chart. Sorry, this is not the what we call revised copy. I have a revised copy, but in another revised copy, I strongly recommend the Novelis from Government or Research Institute. I have another chart is talking about the venturalization process. The venturalization process, if you really can take a look about the capitalization is very, very important, especially when you're funding a future business. But how you make it, not only the VC in Taiwan now, I can tell you the VC and the post-VC, the venture capitalism almost occupy around 75 to 80%. But when you talk about the angel fund and seed fund, they only around 12 to 13% occupation. That means people are hesitant. Maybe it's because of the government regulation and so on. Or some of the situation is because of people are not willing to invest for high-risk deals. But as you may know, United States and Europe, they are creating lots of new organizations called accelerator. They are what kind of incubation center, but built up with the financial and capitalization infrastructure. This is also ITRI are building. So we are using our own money, seeding and funding, those we call the early stage. This is really important that you have resources to invest for the early stage. The government cannot actually help you too much. As I mentioned, they can help you to launch the project, but they cannot actually help you to sustain the trial you want to do, especially the successful rate only have around 10%. So you must bear it with your own risk to carry it forward. But since I'm missing this chart, later on I'll give my updated copy to him. So if you want it, so you can request your people to get this copy. But our conclusion is, in fact, the Professor Chung, he told me that no matter the project is good or bad, all we can do is try to minimize the risk and bear it with a possible impact and let the industry to get the influence and willing to invest in the first round. So this is what we can do. But can we ensure the success? The answer is no. The answer is, once you're going out, all the risk you still have to bear it yourself. The most chances you have a better people with a lousy project, the company can survive. But the most of the chances will fail is because this is a very successful project, but with lousy people. So people is still actually the most important part of the success to do the commercialization. So this is my today's presentation, but I can tell you commercialization should not be the right word. ITRI should talk about the industrialization rather than commercialization, because our intention is try to creating the new world. So we just before this April, we have spin off around 5 different companies. 4 of them are bio companies. They are doing some of them. They are using the foam bubble, to doing this kind of surgery of the brain. Melt. Actually, they can we call the seal it, and so on. We are creating the company almost every month. But we're expecting to have around 20 companies to spin off this year, and we try to accelerate the process. Maybe you can see maybe 200 companies in the next 10 years. We hope. They will be in the market, can be serving maybe you and everyone. But another very important thing is, I want to give you some advice, is globalization. Never wants to do the things only yourself. You must gather a lot of external resources. So we have a talent bank, we have an idea factory, we have an angel club, we have an accelerator, surround such as Stanford University, they have a StarX programs. Some of the company may or may not necessary to be incubated by yourself. Rather than you can exchange the project to incubate in the United States. Because they have the industrial linkage, they have the market. But some of them can be in Taiwan. So we are also doing this kind of global connectivity to make sure our incubation system can be across the board, make the maximum success factors there. Okay? So this is my little experience. I don't want to say this is a keynote or this is a speech, rather than it's just an experience sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sher, for sharing your experience. And we'll give the chance for questions. Are you ready for questions? Okay, so Professor Masood. Yeah, I will pass you the microphone.
Thank you very much. My name is Masood, and thank you for a enlightening speech, and also Professor Zhang. I looked at your experience as in HTC and also in Nokia. And also you mentioned at the beginning of your speech that there's a big difference between the world of design and marketing. Now we know that Taiwan laptop industry has been really good. Almost, you could say 50% of the laptops in the world are either Asus or Acer. But unfortunately, HTC has lost almost 50% of its profit in the first quarter of this year, and it keeps losing the market. Although even in Taiwan, we can see that Samsung is improving. I was wondering, what do you see that due to? Is it a marketing problem or is it a design problem?
It is not. Both are not. Well, I can tell you that the smartphone is just a wording to describe what we call the category of industry or product. But you can tell quite, straightforward why Apple is going down. Because Apple is not selling product. Apple is selling fashions. But HTC and Samsung is selling product. They are much more selling product. So you see the competition will go on. If you still remember, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, when the feature phone goes to the end, what they are competing. They are not competing saying that you are smart or not smart. They are competing that the pixel of the camera, the resolution of the display, and this and that. When the world, become like this, means the world should stop. So I can imagine that the formality of the smart can be elaborated into lots of different areas. In fact, smart will be a word to changing your life. Smart in your living, smart in your healthcare, smart in the cloud, smart in lots of different things. Just like, let me take one very simple thing. The smart TV, I believe, will be dominant in the next 3 to 5 years in the market. It's not because of the size of the TV, but rather than it's smart. But do you really copy the application from the smartphone to the smart TV, saying that this is a world of what we call smart TV? The answer is no. Can you think about when you in the living room, big living room, and you have a TV in the best site center of your room, and you bear it with a camera there. So what you will do? Why you don't talk about the smart care? Means this kind of a surveillance system can be built at home. Rather than to build another what we call surveillance camera, rather than using that camera as a surveillance and security systems to your home. So there are lots of imagination and possible application can be addressed. Rather than the phone itself. Phone actually maybe it's just like what Dr. said, can be just a carrier of radio, possible. I don't know. Because this is also when I'm back to Nokia, because at that time I'm the strategist for Nokia, 20 strategists for Nokia, studying about the next generation of the radio technology and so on. And I asked him the question to Sari Bodov, the same question, saying what's going on, for the next 20 years. He said, he gave me a very smart word. He said, before, you are counting on smart guys on the top tell you what to do, like a you know the conductor for the orchestra. But now no more. You can't count on me because you have to play solo and play rock and roll band. You just based on the same rhythm and you can feel. I met with the CEO chairman in Samsung during the Formula One. You know, we've been together with some Vodafone events. You know how they make smartphone? They are crazy, you know. They really request 3 research team. They give a design goal. They make 3 research team compete themselves. And 3 months afterward, if you make it, okay, you survive. If you don't make it, thank you very much. If you make it very good, okay, I put this one as a high-end result to the high-end market. If this one is middle class, I put one in the mid-class price and put in the middle market. The lower one, maybe put into China or somewhere else. So they have a very smart, you know, this kind of very competitive research concepts. But is it will sustain for long? I don't know, really. The hardware itself just like a carrier. Okay.
Thank you for the question and for the complex answer. I hope it was answered well. Anyone else? The question. So one after one, please. Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
My name is Rufam Kori. I am from Airlangga University of Surabaya. I am very interested with your presentation, sir, and about your conclusion that commercialization is a process by a humble way to minimize the potential value. So I want to get more lessons from you. I want to ask you about what is your innovation action to increase the welfare for many people, maybe from your GSR or another project. Thank you.
Lately, we have a social, what we call social enterprise programs to donate it, you know, our GPS and GSM technology to the center organization. Let them to really care about the crisis management and crisis, especially disaster management and crisis management. We also contribute our technology to this, some of the sensor technology toward to the center organization. In fact, this is a question you are asking? We are not only talking about too much about because ITRI is a non-profit organization. So what we're talking about is not saying that we can make how much money, you know, from the market, rather than we are saying how we can contribute to the society. Lately, we have a project called clean water technology, which can build on the boat. So when the disasters happen, they can really build on the rubber boat and can make this kind of clean water from the river, can generate total to around 500 people per day's living. Okay, and this is we are doing, and we contribute to the 大爱感恩科技 in Taiwan. We contribute to them. Also, we're doing some of others. You know, like we have normally have 1,500 people donated. Just near neighborhood, this is the area, right? There's a college, there's an earthquake. Not college, it's a high school. They have a, you know, facing the high impact of the earthquake. Now we're really helping them to build up the whole environment systems, everything. So, so ITRI is what we call is a strange kind of organization anyway. I can tell. Thank you.
There was another question over there.
Okay, again, I'm sorry, I occupy this room. My name is Francie Riani, and I came from Jakarta State University, or we call it UIT. My question is, I was interested in what you said as building a language between the engineering and also the business. They have different language, but what is your strategy to make them align with the company strategy and objectives, and then make them collaborate to have something interesting. Thank you.
This is a very smart question. You always ask. In fact, the best way to let them talk is still the resources management. Fortunately, I'm still in position in the headquarters. So when we decided saying that you should own the resources for the project, and also you should own the resources for the commercialization, if you don't talk, if you don't collaborate, if you don't cross-disciplinary, sorry, you don't have the money. This is the most, the human behavior, I think. But this is reality. But afterward, I can tell you, the things change. Just like I have a water company, now will be spin off to China, now have $1 billion investment from the industry. Originally, 7 of the team, they don't want to spin off. They totally don't want to talk about marketing. So if you want to chat with them, they hang up your phone, So this is really ridiculous. But I give them some incentive. I tell them, I give them a certain sponsorship. Ask them to go to market. Say, stop your engineering work. You have done a lot. Now, you should really get the recognition from the industry saying that what is the impact you can generate to the next 3 to 5 years based on what you did. So to conduct a survey yourself. So I sponsoring, give around 10 to 20K about sponsorship. Let them free for 6 months. Only to do the survey. I can tell you this survey, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Thailand, and also some of the European countries, when they and Middle East, when they come back, they say, I want to spin off. They get a lots of correspondence, this kind of what we call synergy. It's not from internal instruction, but rather from the market, and they reburn their passion. So it's proven, some of the experience learning from the outside, from the market, the ecosystem is really important. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sher, you did really well during your presentation during the Q&A, so you also deserve a gift. And so I would like to invite Director of ICTRI, Mr. Alfie Shahril, to deliver this gift. Do we have a photographer? Yes, we do. Thank you very much.